Thumbelina, have you ever wished for something impossible? A lonely woman longed for a child of her own. An old wise woman gave her a magical barley corn to plant. From it bloomed a flower, and inside was a perfect little girl, so small and tiny that the woman decided to call her Thumbelina. Thumbelina's tiny world. Her cradle was a polished walnut shell, her mattress was made of violet petals, and a single rose petal was her blanket. During the day, she would float in a tulip petal boat on a plate of water, using 2 horsehairs for oars. She had a sweet, happy life. The toad's kidnapping. One night, as Thumbelina slept, a large, ugly toad hopped through a broken window pane. "She would make a perfect wife for my son," the toad croaked to herself. She snatched the walnut shell cradle with Thumbelina still inside and hopped away into the dark, damp garden, heading towards the wide stream where she lived. Prison on the lily pad. The toad took Thumbelina to the middle of the stream and placed her on the broadest water lily leaf, which was now like an island for the tiny girl. "Stay here while I prepare your new home with my son," the old toad said before diving into the mud. Thumbelina woke up and began to cry. The toad's plan. The toad returned with her equally ugly son. "Croak, croak, ribbit," was all he could say when he saw the lovely little girl. "Don't speak so loudly or you'll wake her," said the mother toad. "We will place her in the bridal chamber so she cannot escape while we decorate it for the wedding." Fish to the rescue. The little fish swimming in the water below heard everything. They felt sorry for the sweet girl who was to marry an ugly toad. They gathered around the green stalk that held the lily pad leaf and gnawed it in 2 with their teeth. The leaf floated away down the stream, carrying Thumbelina far away. Butterfly escape. A lovely white butterfly fluttered nearby and decided to land on her lily pad. Thumbelina was clever. She took off her sash and tied one end to the butterfly and the other end to her leaf. The butterfly flew off, pulling the lily pad swiftly down the stream, moving her along much faster than before. The beetle abduction. Suddenly a large stag beetle flew by. He seized Thumbelina around her tiny waist with his claws and flew up into a tree with her, while the lily pad continued to float down the stream. Oh, how frightened poor Thumbelina was when the beetle carried her off into the tree. Cast out by the beetles. The stag beetle introduced Thumbelina to the other beetles who lived in the tree, but they were very cruel. "She only has 2 legs. How pitiful," one said. "She has no feelers," said another. The stag beetle rejected her and cast her out, leaving her alone on the leaf. Alone in the woods. All summer long, poor Thumbelina lived alone in the great woods. She wove herself a bed out of blades of grass and hung it under a clover leaf to keep out the rain. She took nectar from the flowers for food and drank the dew from the leaves every morning. But summer passed and winter arrived. Winter's cold grip. The birds who had sung to her flew away, the trees lost their leaves and the flowers withered. The clover leaf she lived under was covered in snow. She was cold and hungry, wrapped in a dry leaf that gave little warmth. Thumbelina feared she would perish in the lonely winter forest. The field mouse's shelter. She wandered until she came to the door of a field mouse, Mrs. Tiller, who had a warm and cosy home under the ground. "You poor little creature," said the kind old field mouse. "Come into my warm room and share my dinner." She took a liking to Thumbelina and offered her a home for the winter. Stories for Mrs. Tiller. Thumbelina was very comfortable in the field mouse's home. She had to keep the house clean and tidy and tell Mrs. Tiller stories in the evening, which the mouse loved to hear. Thumbelina was grateful for the shelter and food, but she missed the warm sun and the beautiful flowers of the world above. The rich mole appears. "We are going to have a visitor," the field mouse said one day. "My neighbour, a very rich mole, is coming to call. He is very learned and has a magnificent home. If you could win him for a husband, you would be well provided for. But he cannot see, so you must tell him your best stories." Through the dark tunnel. The mole came to visit in his black velvet coat. He fell in love with Thumbelina because of her sweet voice, but he said nothing, for he was a very cautious mole. He had recently dug a new tunnel from his house to theirs, and he invited Thumbelina and the field mouse to visit him often. The injured swallow. As they walked through the long dark passage, they came upon a swallow that seemed to be dead. The poor bird had broken its wing and had been caught by the cold. The mole kicked it with his short leg and said, "Now he will sing no more. It must be a miserable thing to be born a bird." Secret kindness. Thumbelina felt so sorry for the bird. That night she could not sleep. She crept down the tunnel and wove a warm blanket from hay and flower down. She spread it over the bird and tucked him in. "Farewell, you pretty bird," she whispered, but the bird was not dead, only numb with cold. Springtime recovery. All winter long, Thumbelina cared for the swallow in secret, bringing him water in a leaf cup and bits of her own food. By the time spring arrived, the swallow, whose name was Hirundo, was strong again. "Come with me," he chirped. "I will carry you away from the dreary mole to the warm, sunny lands." Leaving Mrs. Tiller. All winter, Mrs. Tiller the field mouse gave Thumbelina shelter and kindness. But one day she said, "You must marry my neighbour, the rich mole. In 4 weeks he will take you underground." Thumbelina bowed politely and thanked her, yet her heart ached at the thought of losing the sun and flowers forever. The mole's proposal. At last the wedding day arrived. The mole came in his black velvet coat, ready to take Thumbelina deep into his dark home. Before leaving the world above, she stepped outside. She gazed at the bright sky, the open fields, and the flowers she loved. Through her tears she whispered a final goodbye. The swallow returns. Just then Thumbelina heard a familiar sound above her head. Tweet, tweet. It was her dear friend, the swallow Hirundo, returning from his long journey. "Winter is coming here," he sang. "I am flying away to warmer lands. Come with me, Thumbelina, and escape the dark mole forever." Hope lit her eyes. Flying to new lands. "Yes, I will go with you," cried Thumbelina. She climbed onto the swallow's back, holding tightly as he soared into the sky. They flew over forests and seas, past mountains covered in snow. At last they reached a warm and sunny land. The swallow set her gently upon a beautiful white flower. Prince of the Flowers. In the centre of the flower sat a tiny man, no bigger than Thumbelina herself. He wore a golden crown and had shining, transparent wings. He was Prince Zephyr, king of all the flower angels. Never had he seen a maiden so lovely, and his heart was filled with joy. A wish come true. Prince Zephyr asked Thumbelina to be his wife and the queen of all the flowers. She gladly agreed. From every blossom came tiny lords and ladies, bringing gifts. The best gift was a pair of wings. Now Thumbelina could fly from flower to flower, free and happy at last. What wish would you make if you were Thumbelina? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share for more fun English lessons.